Our guest attended and played at the three-time NCAA Men National Championship winning school, Long Beach State, and he's still the dig per set record holder there. After playing in college, our guest went on to play professionally in Finland, the Bahamas, Brazil, France, Poland, and Germany. And during those stints, our guest competed at the highest level and even won a national championship in the Bundesliga, which is Germany's highest league. During that time, our guest found time to play with our own USA team. Our guest was a part of the men's team that took third in the World League tournament in 2015 and won the FIVB World Cup tournament. In 2017, our guest won the Norseka Championships, and in 2017 took third in the Nations League tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased and honored to introduce Dustin Watten.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you so much. And yeah, I love Josh. I love Josh so much. And he's just been I don't know, savior. I want to make it angelic because he's also a great friend too. But what a great relationship I've been able to have with him. And this summer I was supposed to travel with him a lot because, you know, I love what he's doing so much that I just want to continue to share it because, you know what, there's just so many athletes that are so passionate about the game, such as myself. And there's just so many different ways that we can work, so many different ways we can be intentional. Visualization is something that even at first for me, always looking for edges. It's just like, yeah, but I don't know. It's kind of this woo-woo. But just every day, you know, working with him in some way, usually with the app, and then before the games, overseas, you know, even for me, I still get very anxious, right? Because I put the pressure on myself, being in the big league, being a foreign libero. My first year in Poland, I was the only one. The second year, there was only two of us. This year, there was three. And so this pressure to not only be good, to be great, but to be the best, and that's it. And with Josh, I'm sure you guys have felt it, just this feeling of calm, of poise, of confidence, gratitude, all these elevated emotions. And so when you open your eyes, you're like, yeah, this is where I get to be. This is where I want to be, rather than like where I've experienced this a lot in my career. It's like, I just hope I don't fail. I just hope I don't blow it. I just hope we can win. I hope we only play 2 sets. And so it's just been amazing the way I've been able to do what I love with more love. But yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. It's too much, you know. I appreciate it. It's really interesting because again, you know, I try to really disconnect myself from the success, because for me, as I've learned, it's all about the journey. And even if it wasn't, I still just love the journey. I love the challenge of every day getting up and trying to be a little bit better, trying to be a little bit more intentional, trying to, outside of the court, love a little bit more, try to have more compassion for my teammates when it seems that it's impossible. And my story came from a young age, you know. I wasn't so young when I started. Maybe like a lot of you, I was 14 and a half when I started playing, because volleyball was always there for me. Volleyball was always offered to me. And most of the time, all the time, when my dad asked me, because my dad coached, my dad played, do you want to play volleyball? And I said, no, girls sport, don't want to play. So often I got asked, often I said no. I played soccer, I played basketball, I loved it. I really wasn't that athletic, but I love sports. I love sports, and I believe with hard work I can do it. The thing was, I was just so skinny, so slow, and so short. And basketball wasn't working out. Soccer is kind of looking, I don't know, maybe it was working out, maybe not. So after club high school season, on the West Coast, we have soccer in the winter and then volleyball in the spring. Once again, my dad asked me, because my dad was teaching at my high school, do you want to play volleyball? The head varsity coach asked my dad because he needed a freshman coach. I was like, Dad, it's a girls' sport, I'm not playing. But at that time, and maybe some of you have experienced this so far, it was really difficult for me. All my friends from middle school went here, and I went here. I had no friends at all. And it was tough. It was really hard for me. But you know what? Once I heard some of my soccer teammates are going to play for volleyball, I changed my tone. I was like, yeah, Dad, I'd love to play volleyball. He's like, okay. And so I started playing volleyball. And he was hard on me, you know, as the coach's son. He wanted me to be great, so he pushed on me. And you know what? I loved it because there was a couple times where, you know, I still wasn't very good, but a couple times where I set the ball and there wouldn't be any rotation. It's like, oh, it felt great. A couple times where I dove and got a ball with one arm, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know I could do that. Maybe a couple times I remember, not even a pancake, but I went to dive and pancake and I realized it was out, so I let it go. And just the feeling, how cool it was, right? These small epiphanies where it's just like, wow, this is such a cool sport. And not only is it cool, but every time I play it, I get a little bit better. Every time I play it, I'm able to be a little more creative with my body, do something a little cooler. And I just loved it. And so after that, I realized that there was a local club team that trained out of my high school. So I tried out for it. And I didn't make the 1 team, but I made the 2 team. And I couldn't believe I made it. Coming from a soccer background and making my first club, I was like, wow, that's so amazing. Patting myself on the back. And then I heard we were going to go to this tournament called JOs. I didn't know what JOs meant. Then I heard it was Junior Olympics. I was just like, whoa. I was like, I'm so good. I was like, Dustin, you are so good. Just patting myself on the back. Like, all I could think about was volleyball. I remember I was like in Spanish class and I was just doodling and drawing my club's team logo. And I was just so excited. And get to JOs, fast forward 4 days later, the last game we played against a team from Maryland, and we lost, sealing our fate as the worst team in the tournament. Because at that time, there was open division, there was club. We were in club, and we were at the very bottom. And I remember taking off my Nike armbands. I don't know why I had them on, but taking them off, just so bummed. But at that moment, I kind of realized 3 things. 1, I freaking love volleyball. It's so much fun. Pancakes, making a perfect set, making a perfect pass. I couldn't do it consistently, but there was like once in a while I could have these epiphanies, and it just was like a rush, and I just felt so great. And not just that, but celebrating with my team when they did something well, right? It's a game where, you know, I immediately had 12 friends, and we get to celebrate and push together. And I love building a team. I still do. 2, I really wasn't that good. In fact, I was awful. I was so bad. Maybe arguably the worst in the country. And so it actually worked out really well for me, because the only reason for me to go was up, right? I couldn't go down any further. I literally got last place in the country. And so I kind of had this freedom to keep on pushing, because there was no fear I could get any worse. I was already so far down. And 3, you know, I realized I loved it. I wasn't very good. I wanted to be better. I wanted to be better. And so I talk about this a lot so often. As young athletes, as older athletes, as coaches, we just judge. Whatever happens, we judge. Something happens, good. Something happens, bad. We don't really have the foresight to just allow things to be, especially right now with COVID, right? I know for me too, I judged it because in my team in Poland, we had a great year, phenomenal year. Like nothing has ever happened like this before. The whole team was completely rebuilt. Usually teams in Poland retain at least 60, 70, sometimes 90% of the players. Our team was completely rebuilt with like scrubs. Every guy on our team was the 3rd outside, the 3rd middle. Our setters didn't even play in Poland. And so we had this unbelievable year. And they cut it, right? And that, for me, that sucked. I wanted to play. I wanted to go to playoffs. This would have been my first year in Polish playoffs. Not only that, my contract got cut for this year and for next year. Come back to USA, no USA. And it's just like, gosh. You know, initially it's like, this sucks. But I know better to judge, because we never really know what's awaiting in our future. It's kind of like in the morning with the fog, right? You see the fog and you're like, oh, it's going to be foggy all day. And then, boom, sun comes out a little bit longer, right? These situations, we have to be a little more patient. But again, going back to my situation in high school, by having no friends, this, you know, initially this sucked. But it allowed me every day to wake up and go play beach volleyball. Because you know what? I didn't have any friends to go hang out with. I didn't have any social interactions. I didn't have any birthdays to go to. So all I did was just work on my craft. Work. And I was lucky. I had a dad who was a teacher who played volleyball. And we'd go down to the beach and we'd play as long as we could until his knees hurt and we had to go home. I'm like, come on, Dad. He's like, I had 3 knee surgeries. I can't play anymore. And we just got whooped. We got whooped every single day by a bunch of old guys, you know? They just set it super tight, and they go to the net, and they either shoot it or poke it deep. And I just, you know, just get worked. But I learned there, you know, I had a couple like very Zen-like statements from my dad. One of them was, you'll never know if you don't go. And so we just got whooped all throughout the day. Come home, teach my brother how to pepper. Boom, 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 boom. When he got tired, hit the ball against the wall, hit the ball on the gutter, come inside, sometimes hit the ball against the stairs and try to get the last second reaction. I would draw a bullseye and put it in my brother's rooms, set the bullseye, set the bullseye. And from there, it was just will. The only thing I knew, the best of my knowledge, was just to work hard and to play as much as I can. Now, I definitely know there's different ways we can work, right? There's definitely different ways we can work, definitely ways where we can put in more intentional work to leave us more prepared and more confident when we do step back on the court. But then it was all will. It was all will. And nothing really changed that much. The next year, I made a 16s2 team again. The season after that, I made a ones team, but as a second setter. And so it was still continue to grind. It wasn't like overnight. It wasn't like I work hard, I see the results. It was just I work hard, I work hard, I work hard, I work hard. And luckily for me, like I said, another thing that worked out really well, my team got last place, right? You would think that, oh, this would suck. But by my team getting last place, I realized I couldn't get any lower. And so when I failed, I just kept on getting up. I failed, I kept on getting up. Failed, I kept getting up. And I would play beach, and I'd slowly start playing against the younger players, and you'd see these players I would play against, they just stopped coming, you know? Enough times losing was enough for them because they had this fixed mindset, right? This fixed mindset where subconsciously, and it's not our fault, right? It can be as simple as like our parents, when we win, saying, yeah, great job, you're the best. Or when we lose, just a kind of a, oh, nice try, right? We make that correlation. Ooh, if I win, my parents really are excited. If I lose, they're just not so excited. And it's not a conscious recognition, it's subconscious, right? And so after enough times losing, we're just like, we're just not good, or I just don't know if I'll be loved today, or it's just not fun anymore. But I was lucky because, again, I lost so much and such a hard level that there's only one way to go. And then my parents did something very clever. I still don't know if this is very conscious or unconscious, but what they would say to me after games was, we're really proud how you competed. Sometimes they would say we weren't proud how you competed, because there was times where on the beach I would punt the balls, you know, I wasn't good with my emotions. But this is something that was in my control. It wasn't outcome, right? In this outcome, I don't have full control. I can't step to a game and say, I'm going to play great today and play great. I can't step up to a game and say, my team's going to win today and we're going to win. I can't go to JOs and say, we're going to win a gold medal, you know, these things, you know. But so often we see, in myself as well, 2 years ago I learned this lesson was, you know, there's a lot of things really outside of our control, but we believe are inside our control. And we get in trouble because not only when we don't accomplish it, we will have frustration and anxiety and maybe being even sad, but on our way towards that goal and it doesn't look like we're going to get it, now we're going to be flustered and also we're going to be down. You know, it could be something as similar like losing 20-15. There's still a chance you can win, right? But it's not looking so good. And if you have the outcome as the goal, you're going to be down. If your goal is to play each point the best you can play it, each point with the best attitude, playing relentless on defense every single point, then you're going to have more clarity and confidence to pursue that. And so again, I was lucky. I had this growth mindset, or outside of the fixed mindset, growth mindset is we want to pursue challenges, right? We know that our value as a person and as an athlete isn't dictated by the outcome. It's dictated on the internal, how hard we try, our effort, our attitude, if we're a good teammate, our ability to prepare for the game, not only in the morning before, but the week leading up to it. These things, these internal things are completely within our control. And that's where we should shift the weight of, at the end of the game, how we did. And so with this growth mindset, I pursued the most challenging. I played beach. I play against young players, but I also play against old players and get my butt whooped. But it was good because the better players I played against, the more I learned, the more truth I got. And with that truth, I was able to kind of learn a little bit more, right? Still, at this time, it was just physical will. And so it was playing a lot, lifting weights, jump roping. And everything changed when I got to Long Beach State. I just kind of slid into Long Beach State. I wasn't a Fab 50 player. And girls, this is hard. For guys, not the hardest to be a Fab 50. So I wasn't even a Fab 50 player. And I walked on, no scholarship. And once I get to Long Beach, I started to get the tools. Okay, we can watch video. Okay, I can practice early. Watch other guys. And I got the tools working with Alan Knipe and the coaching staff there to help funnel my passion, my hard work in the appropriate way so I can get more out of each day. But still, after Long Beach, it wasn't clear. There was no salvation. There wasn't a finish line. After Long Beach, I still thought, maybe I'll coach. But, I got a spot in the USA team. Did well, but I didn't get a contract. So I had to sit a whole year out. Whole year, no volleyball. Just kind of peppering with another guy that was injured. And again, in this present moment, I was like, this sucks. This isn't fair. I should have a pro contract. What turned out happening was the best thing. Because next year, I would get a contract in Finland. Finland, a country I didn't know anything about. What's Finland? I realized real quickly it's a very cold, a very dark country. And it's a country that's very depressing for a lot of Americans that go there. A lot of Americans, a lot of really good Americans, girls and boys go there. And 1, maybe 2 years, and that's their pro contract because we focus on the lack, right? Same thing at this moment right now. We focus on the lack, what we don't have in our life, what's being taken away from us. You go to Finland, I have no family. I have no friends. Maybe my teammates aren't very chatty. Finnish people takes a while to kind of warm up to. Hey, being from California, where's the sun? The sun's out for 2 hours a day. And I'm in practice for those 2 hours. It's freezing every single day. When I was there, it was 1 week of sun, 2 weeks of rain, and 7 months below zero. I had to run a practice. But here's the thing. I got to be in Finland. I got to be in a place that was freezing cold. I got the opportunity to run a practice. It was full of abundance, kind of what Josh talks about when we first do the game ready. It's not that our cup is full. It's not that our cup is half full. It's that we have a cup. I have a cup. I have a roof over my head. I have a healthy body. My parents are healthy. I have food to eat. I have a capability to work with my coaches online. We focus on things that are already in our life. Rather than desiring something that's outside of our life, we desire those things that are already within our life. But from there, then we can fill it up with intentional living. Okay? It's good to feel in abundance, but now it's time to get to work, right? And so for me, it was so beautiful because in Finland, it was like, I get to be here. And I'm going to show the coaches, I'm going to show the management that they made the right choice. And so in Finland, it was a very average, low-level league. And I always try not to say this online because I have so many Finnish friends, and I feel like it's an insult. But it is. It's, a lot of the players in the league are students. A lot of the players have other jobs, and the foreigners are at the lowest level. And so the training also is at a low level. Maybe we have 1 practice a day compared to Poland or Brazil where you have 3 practices a day. But you know what? I would wake up, drink this thing called coffee. I never had it before in my life. Drink this thing called coffee, get super wired, run in the snow, and I would stay in the gym for 5 hours a day before practice. I would lift for 2 hours. I would do conditioning. I'd go eat, come back, stretch some more. I didn't really know what to do, but I knew I was going to work as hard as I could every single day, to the point where my coach and my teammate, my captain, had to have a meeting with me and ask me if everything was all right because I was spending so much time at the gym. I was like, I'm fine. And they're like, no, you need to stop coming to the gym for 5 hours a day. But again, it was just putting my passion into what I knew what was best. And again, at this moment, I only knew will. At the end of the year, my first year in Finland, I was able to get Best Libero. And it was an amazing award because I had felt like I went through the finish line, right? I talk about this a lot. For goals, we always believe that there's a salvation. Once we hit it, we made it. And I felt, I made it. I'm going to go to another league. Goodbye, everyone. And you know what? I didn't get another contract. I had to come back to Finland. Kind of with my tail between my legs, kind of ashamed. I couldn't move on. But before that year, I told the national team coach, who was my college coach, I said, this year is going to be different. This year, not only am I going to play great again, but my team is going to win the league. Again, two things that are not completely within our control. Playing good and the team having success. These things are not completely within our control. And what I learned is when we have an attachment to these things working out, again, we do not have control over. Not only is it not great, but sometimes it's even worse. Because again, if we have an attachment to these things and it looks like it's not panning out, we're going to get flustered. We're going to get frustrated. We're going to push more, right? Rather than just going point by point, being the best teammate I can be, coming back to my breath, being external, I got frustrated. I got angry. I tried to steal more court. When I started to steal more court, I started to shank. When we started to lose, I started to get frustrated. I started to yell. Things that I normally wouldn't do because I had an attachment of how things should be. But those things weren't completely in my control. If I had an attachment to, Dustin, you should prepare well every day. Dustin, when you come to practice, get extra reps. Dustin, come to practice and have a great attitude. Dustin, come to practice, be a great teammate. You know what? I'm going to succeed because these things are completely within our control. It's the same thing with coaches. I'm sure maybe you've seen the coaches sometimes get frustrated because the coaches want to win, right? And it's not because they're a bad coach. It's just not realizing these things aren't in our control. And they're trying, they believe how they speak, how they coach have a correlation, but it's not a complete correlation to that result. Same thing like having a great attitude, working hard on defense, focusing on my serve. There's going to be a correlation to you winning the match, but it's not going to be a complete correlation. And if we have time, I can get into the story as well, but I only made this realization a year ago. Only a year ago, my 9th professional season, because what I realized was I wasn't playing, I got replaced. And you know what? Not only was I working hard, not only was I a good teammate, not only was I getting extra reps, but I found out I was statistically the best libero in the league and I wasn't playing. And I was like, I should be playing. I should be playing. It's not fair. And you know what? The decision for me to be playing or not, for me to travel or not, for me to make the one team, to me to make varsity, to be a collegiate athlete, it's not completely in my control. And when I believe it's in my control, I siphon myself of the energy, the focus, the confidence that I could be putting into those things in my control, right? Setting goals, getting extra reps, being a good teammate, always working hard. Because when we're resentful, we're spiteful, we're angry, we're frustrated, we're not going to be as focused each and every rep, right? We're not as focused each and every rep. We're not getting as good as we could have been. So there's a lot of power of letting those things go, understanding what's truly within our control. When you go to a game and you hear that you're not in the starting lineup, let it go. Get to the bench. What can I do? Be a great teammate and be ready to come in. But back to the finish story. So my second year, I believed that I could achieve these things when, of course, it was possible, but it wasn't completely within my control. And when it looked like it wasn't happening, frustrated, angry. And one day I went out with my ex-girlfriend and I grabbed a bunch of tangerines and I just started throwing them as far as I could. I was so pissed off because usually I'm just so happy. I was like, get outside with me. And she's like, what? I'm like, I'm going to throw some tangerines. She's like, what are you? And I just threw them. I was so angry because I was just suppressing this anger, right? Everything wasn't working out. And I was just so angry, so frustrated, so sad. And finally, I thought about it after I threw those tangerines. And I was like, all right, something has to change. It was the first time of many times where I kind of had my butt on the floor looking around like, no one's going to help me. I'm overseas, I'm by myself. No one's going to help me. I have to get up, which, again, I've been doing all throughout my career. I have to get up, but this time I had to get up and I have to be more intentional. I have to get up and be more mindful. I had to get up and be more creative. And so the first realization I had was like, all right, anyone that saw me doing this, they're definitely not looking over and saying, huh, that looks like a very sane and tough athlete over there. He looks like he has a great mindset. And so I had my mom send me a bunch of mindset, sports psychology books. I still have them. My parents' house, I still have them. And I just started reading. You know, I didn't like to read. I felt when I was a kid, I was always forced to read like geography books or social studies books. I was like, I don't want to read. But I was like, all right, I have to read. I have to read. And I started reading, and you know what? I realized that I was like, wow, I love reading. I love reading when like I get to choose the book. I love reading when like I'm like an alchemist right now, like working on my mind, working on my body. And the first thing I realized was I had an idea from a book to create a list. And you guys can read all about this on my blog. If you guys have questions, you can always write me after this. But my list, I was like, okay, I'm gonna write a list. It's kind of like a daily habit tracker of micro tasks that align to my goal. It's not just I wake up and say, well, I hope to achieve my goal. It's like, I'm gonna make these tasks, these habits that I know, in best of my knowledge, will help me achieve my goal by accomplishing them every single day, consistently holding myself accountable. So what I do, I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And each day they had the 4 tasks. The first 4 tasks started was to work out every day, which I was doing, no big deal. It was to read every single day, kind of tough at this moment. To stretch every single day. At this time, I wasn't stretching. Stretching is huge for liberos. I think huge for everyone. And the 4th one, because at the time I was working hard, but I was also playing a lot of video games, playing a lot of computer games. So I didn't want to give that up yet. So in between the video games, I do some push-ups. And so 4 things. And I just started going. If I did the task, I cross off of a highlighter. Boom. If I didn't, circle it. And I started realizing the correlation. At the end of the week, if I was lazy, if I did the things that was the easiest and felt the most pleasurable, watching Netflix, playing computer games, and ignoring my task, when I got to the game, I wasn't really prepared, nor was I confident when I experienced failures or that first ball I shanked. I was like, uh-oh. But you know what? The days or the weeks where I crushed my list, I got to the game, I was like, yeah, like I'm ready. I did, and I had this confidence where now I know there's a lot more stuff I could do because now I have 24 things on my list. But at the time, I was like, I did everything on the list. Like, I'm ready to crush it, right? I'm ready to crush it. And again, putting the goals internally rather than externally. How many people out there come to practice and you're like, I want to have a good practice today. That's my goal. I want to have a good practice. Because I used to have this every single day. You know what? When you go to the USA gym and you're on the second side, a lot of times you're not going to have a good practice. Because you have Matt Anderson, you have Micah Christensen, you have Max Holt just crushing serves. And, you know, at best, 50% positive, you know, 25% excellent. Like that's at best. Like that is best case scenario. And so, you know, maybe I'm passing 30 or 40% balls positive and I'm not going to feel good. But that's, again, we don't want to have the external goals. It's how I prepare, how quick I am in the seam. I get my arms outside my body. Did I get to practice and come early and get the extra reps? How did I prepare the night before? Did I get good enough sleep? Did I wake up and meditate? These are the things where I judge myself. And these things I've seen over throughout the years as my list has gotten deeper. When I commit to them, and sometimes it's really difficult to commit to 23 things throughout the day. When I commit to them and I show up to practice, when I show up to games, I'm like dialed in. I'm like, yeah, let's freaking go. You know, it doesn't matter where I am physically or my skill level. Like I committed to everything I knew to would leave me as prepared and confident to step on the court and to dominate. And working with Josh, it's another thing, right? It's like another tool in my toolbox or another like ammo in my weapon. Or I'm like, I'm freaking dialed in. Like everything I knew I could do to get my mind and body right, I did. I committed to. And so that began my journey. And every year there's been something else that I've added. The next year I read it's supposed to be a mindset book. I thought it was a mindset book, but it talked about this guy's transitioning to a plant-based diet. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll try plant-based diet. I read the book on the plane. The first revelation was like, it's so funny coming from Poland to English and translating words. Revelation. I don't think anyone says it here, but in Poland, rewelacja, everyone says it. But the first revelation was I read a book on a plane, and I was like, oh, holy shoot! I just read a book on a plane ride. The whole book. I was like, wow. I was like, good job, Dustin. And then I was like, wait, am I considering going vegan? I was like, what is going on? I was like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? But again, you know, just pursuing different edges. This one came to me kind of by accident. And I was like, all right, let's try it, you know? I don't know if it's going to work because everything I knew was I need protein to be strong. And to be strong, I need to eat animals because that has the most protein. And to be strong, I'll be a good volleyball player. So when it gets everything I knew, but I was like, you know what? Let's try it. Because it goes back to when I was younger. I was just passionate and curious for a better day. And that curiosity was like, all right, I don't know anyone that's vegan. I don't know anyone that's vegetarian. I never even heard of an athlete that's vegan. But I was like, maybe it works. And if it doesn't, that's fine. It's fine. but it will be an edge. It'll be a big edge. Next year in Brazil, I learned about meditation. Brazil is really stressful. Brazil threw me into a fixed mindset, absolutely threw me off the boat and said, Dustin, we don't care how hard you play, how great effort you have. If you're not good, we're going to shame you on the court. And going back in that fixed mindset was awful. And I had to dig myself out the next year. Dig myself out by journaling every day. And having that feedback, what's going well? Because at that time I was full of shame, right? Full of shame. What's going well? And realizing the challenges. And then from there, what can I do differently tomorrow? So spinning those challenges into solutions, into intention. And so keeping my head more or less solid. When coming into Brazil, I was just all over the place of shame, of embarrassment. I'm sure a lot of athletes have these feelings. The next year, going deeper and learning about philosophy, stoicism. That next year, I played on a team after winning the World Cup. Once again, we think there's a salvation, right? I won World Cup. I'm the best. We get to my team in France. We start off the year 1-19. 1-19. And I chose the role of a victim. This isn't fair. This isn't right. This coach is a jerk. My teammates don't try. This management sucks. This gym sucks. I can't get in extra reps. I even complained about the weather being crappy. My girlfriend broke up with me. All these things outside of me that previously gave me happiness went, whew. And I remember sitting by myself one day. I was just like, can I be happy? I'm like honestly, can I be happy? And I called my agent. I was like, get me out of here. Done with this. I don't deserve this. He's like, okay, I'll find a solution. The next day I went to a coffee shop. I read a book, Stoicism, the first time I opened the book. And I realized that my reality is my perception of it. Reality didn't dictate who I was or how happy I was. I had the power. And I was choosing a victim. It's like changing prescription glasses, right? It's like, I'm a victim. This is great. Full of opportunity. This sucks. There's different ways I can perceive reality, especially in this time right now, right? So easy, so natural, and everyone does this. And I'm not say anything bad about it, because I've also done it at times where it's like, this sucks. This isn't fair. I want to play volleyball. I'm going to lose so much money from this. And it's like, this is not fair. I wanted to buy that or whatever. It's like, you know what? It's happened. Accept it. Where I can find the opportunity of growth. This is great. I get to connect with younger athletes. This is great. Maybe I can build a business for when I'm done with volleyball. This is great. I get to connect with my family more. This is great. I get to let my body heal. Reality is how we perceive it. We always have the choice to perceive it. Often we perceive reality or our place in it as a victim, right? It's much easier to do this, much easier for our ego to do it. And so every year I'm continuing to learn, continue to learn. And I do it from my failures. Failures are the biggest blessing. Sometimes I'm like, come on, give me more failures. And then I have a failure. I'm like, no, not that one. It's like this year, everything went so well. Crushed it, best year ever. My team did great. And then out of nowhere, my president was like, if you don't agree to the cuts, for the COVID cuts, if you don't agree to the COVID cuts, we'll cut your next contract. I'm like, all right, yeah. And it's like, cut. Now my girlfriend's in Poland, are you coming back or not? And I'm like, I don't think so. And so, I think our ability to perceive failures is just going to help us grow. And we can do this at a young age and see the opportunity to have the clarity, to have the space to navigate these failures and see what life is asking from us to dig a little deeper. I think we're going to have a foundation for success no matter what we do in life. So thank you guys so much for having me, and excited to get to some of the questions.
All right, Dustin, I love what you mentioned, man. A lot of those ideas are things that we speak about in our club on a daily basis. One thing that really stood out to me was the line, focus on the lack. I think it's really easy to do that, focusing on what you don't have rather than focusing on what you have and the opportunities that you have in front of you. So thanks for kind of guiding us through all those ideas. We do want to kind of wrap this up by 12:20, so I'm going to get to a few questions. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call your name out if you entered a question on Instagram, and just ask you to unmute yourself and kind of speak to Dustin. So I'm going to start off with Lily. You asked the question on Instagram. Would you mind unmuting yourself?
Which Lily?
Lily Lynn. We do have
so many Lilies.
So I had a question. So as a libero, do you have any tips for like softening the ball on either like when you're digging or on serve receive?
Yeah. That's a great question. So it can be difficult because we're always trying to figure out like how much we need to soften the ball. But something that works a lot is I talked about this in creating space. And so when we pass, we bring our arms back just a little bit, right? But we want to be very conscious that we're not bringing our arms into our body. So we bring our arms back a little bit and we just step back. So be able to create space. Space is the biggest thing. So contact that ball and bring it back, but make sure when we bring the arms back, we're also moving the feet back as well to create the space between our arms and body. Because if we come into our arms and our body at the same time, our hips are going to open up and we're going to go there.
Awesome, thanks. I think that space thing is something that we continually preach every time we get into the gym and we're doing some serve receive. It just allows you to have more control of your angles. I'm going to go over to Kendall. Kendall, you asked us a question on Instagram. Would you mind unmuting yourself?
Hi, I'm really sorry. I completely forgot my question and I didn't write them down.
No worries. I have it here for you. Kendall asked, and I thought it was a funnier question. Do you have a go-to game day meal before you step out onto the court? What are you eating? What do you put in your body before you step out there to feel ready?
Yeah, I love doing smoothies. I have this company I work with called Sprout Living. They have these like what are they called? It's just like these like superfood smoothie packets, and so I like it because I can use it at home or on the road, and so I just keep it consistent. Where I have a banana, 2 dates, and then I use this like a superfood smoothie packet, and I share it with my teammate. My teammate just absolutely loves it. He's always like coming to my hotel room. He's like, "You got the smoothie?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." So I like something in that smoothie. It's easy on digestion, and then after that, usually like a little caffeine, maybe coffee or a little matcha.
Nice little perk up before the game. Caitlin Variali, if you're here, would you mind unmuting yourself and asking your question?
Hi, yeah, actually, both of my questions were answered in his introduction thing, so I'm all good. Thank you, though.
Great. No problem. We're going to throw it over to Kat. Kat asked a question. I think she asked the same question to Catherine. I think she's just interested in what you guys are always working on.
Yeah, I'd like to ask kind of like from a technical standpoint, like I know you are still striving to get better. You said that's something you're trying to do every day. So feel free to get like super nitty gritty technical, but I want to know like what, if you were able to be in the gym right now, like what you would be working on from a personal standpoint with your technique. Space. Yeah, space. Just, I think we talked about this a little bit. I got to send you guys the link to get one. I'll give you a promo code, but the creating space in like the passing course I've created, like there's 7 days. So 7 days, it's all about creating space. So I'm really good creating space here, creating space low, but I get stuck high because what I realize is the best liberos in the world, when they're high, they move their feet back, right? They create that space. Where if I'm here and I don't move my feet and then my arm hits my body, yeah, boom. And that's where I have trouble, balls that are high, where it's like, it's coming so fast and I'm like, I don't know. And it's just like, I have to pass, but I don't do anything with my feet. Because usually what I do is I just fall back, right? I pass and I fall back. But when you're high, you can't really fall back. And so watching video, and video is so powerful because you just download it subconsciously. Like when you watch people do it, you just like, your body learns how to do it. So at the end of the year, I was getting really good at passing high balls and keep on moving back to extend the space. Because even if you have space, the ball hits you, there's going to be some blowback. Maybe not on a super easy float serve, but if the ball's coming a little quicker, especially on a jump serve, there's going to be blowback. And so you have to extend the space on contact. And so balls that are high for me and moving my feet back. And then always when I pass, I just want to hold. I want to hold, see where my hips are, and just be curious. Not so much judging, but just curious. Like, where am I? Where is my body? And so the big thing for me, I'm just always passing, always holding, always passing, always holding, and just being curious, like how I can be more efficient. That's awesome. Thank you.
We're going to throw it over to JY. You actually asked a few questions. You feel free to ask Dustin any one.
Hi. Something I was wondering was, how do you handle serve receive pressure when you're having kind of a rough day, and how do you regroup to kind of manage that?
Great question. Love it. Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys want, we can probably do another session where we talk all about this, because this is something I deal with, right? As a not just a pro libero, but a foreign libero, the expectations are very high, not only by the club, but on myself, right? And if I'm not passing well, it's like, what am I doing well? And if I'm not passing well, then I know, like, what am I doing well? And it's just like, you know, stimulus could be like a bad pass. And now, like, the thoughts that come after that is like, you're blowing it. Like, today's not your day. You're sucking. You're going to get subbed out. Like, you're not going to get a contract next year. USA is not going to take it. You know, you start catastrophizing, right? And this is just like, just in between, you know, the next serve now. And it's like, what is going on? You know, I'm just catching myself. And again, after Brazil, it was like so much shame. And so not only was this like, I catastrophized, but I would punish myself. Because before in Brazil, other people would like punish me. And so I was naively like, well, I'll take the only power I only have left. I'm going to punish myself. And I'm like, Dustin, you suck. Like, you're blowing it, you know, like crushing myself, right? And so throughout the years, learning and kind of getting out of shame, it's just like having self-compassion. Just be like, same thing you do for a teammate, right? Teammate shanks the ball and you're like, hey, next ball, right? And they're like, yeah, but no one does that to ourselves. It's not like, hey, Dustin, like, you got it, you know, have that self-compassion for yourself, like, next ball. So there's a lot of different things we can do. Again, there isn't like a button you can push, but I think if there was like a button, just having self-compassion and seeing if you can come back to the breath. Like, the longer story is developing a mindfulness meditation practice and creating more space in between stimulus and response. I like giving the example of, you have a glass of water and a teaspoon of sugar. Put that teaspoon of sugar in the glass of water. It's going to have a big effect on it, right? Put that same teaspoon in the Pacific Ocean. It's not going to have a big effect on it, right? It's the same thing. We can build the space. It can be trainable, right? You can see players where, you know, they have 3 aces in a row and they're just like, oof. You can see 3 players and they get 3 aces in a row and they're like, all right, like, next ball, let's go. So this is something we can train 100%. And I know it because I was in the complete opposite. I was in a place of shame where I didn't even want to be on the court, where I was afraid. I was so fearful. I just wanted to be subbed out at times. I was that athlete too. And so I've had to train myself because it was either swim or sink. And so, and people say to me all the time, they're like, oh, you know, you're so tough and so mindful. And it's like, no, not really. I was just afraid, you know. I was so afraid to lose, like, this image of myself, like Dustin Watten, professional player, Dustin Watten, USA. I was so afraid that I made these changes. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I'm also not giving myself credit. I'm happy I did make the changes, but I wasn't like some tough guy, like, I'm going to find a way. I'm like, I have to find a way.
Well, thank you so much. And also, another quick question I had was, based on your experience, what do you think is the most important part about being a libero or defensive player?
Yeah, I think just the things that you can control. Being a great teammate, helping people move on. As a libero, you can see the emotions the best. Just being there for them, preparing to receive, being just so gritty on defense, going for everything. Because a lot of times, you know, liberos can't kill the ball, but when you make a big play, it can make a huge effect on the energy of the team, right? And then I think, you know, you just see the best liberos are just always around touching people, like, hey, we got it, we got it, we got it. So just kind of being like that, almost like the quarterback, you know, you're always touching people, you're always helping them out, and you're just always smiling and helping people kind of ease the discomfort or frustration that they're going with. And then when they are doing well, get them excited. I talk about that third receiver I played with this year in Poland, where he was like very anxious. This is his first time being a starter. And you would see there was times where he didn't kill the first 3 balls, and the 4th time he killed it. But I could see he's like, oh, I should have killed those first 3 balls. And I just like push him out of it. And I'm like, yeah, like, you're the man. And he's like, whoa. He's like, yeah. And so I think different ways like this, or like realizing how your teammates react and trying to get them as present as possible, rather than when everyone goes through, you know, difficult moments, you're still going to be kind of carrying that. Maybe like 10%, 20%, 30%, 80%, you can see like they're just like zoned out. So finding those different ways as a libero where you can kind of snap them out of it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Love that response. I think JY is once again a very fitting person. She's one of our best liberos out there, and I'm not going to be surprised if he goes out there and shakes some folks into a new reality.
It works.
We're going to have just a few more questions. One just came in the chat. Nora, would you mind unmuting yourself and asking your question?
Hi. So I was wondering, in some of your videos that I watched, you talk about like scoop defense, and can you just explain like why you think that, what it is, and why you think it's effective?
Yeah, right. So it's we got like here, and if we turn it around, it's hard to show this angle. It's like here. So it's like double the size, right? So just making like a quick adjustment. And so our arms are out, and you know, there's going to be some times, not all the time, and not for every different level, where we don't have time to go in and then out. Because what happens, we always go in. Like that's how we're taught how to play volleyball, even for serve receive. Someone tosses you a ball to the midline, and so like we're just like grooved to go like this. But what happens in the game? Balls are here. Balls are here. So what happens? We go here and then out. Same thing for passing. Here, out, hips open up there. If we can wait longer, just go here, wait longer, just go here, or if our arms scooping here, rather than on defense, we go in and now we're too late. And so at the youth level, you know, I actually did teach this with, I know you know the name Tyler Hildebrand. He just got the associate job at Nebraska. We taught this to 15-year-olds and they did really well at it. But it's just finding the happy medium where it's like, if the ball's coming at that much speed where you don't have time. And so, I don't know. I haven't taught it with girls yet, but definitely there is some value. I think Hugh does coach it at Minnesota. Hugh is the one that I learned it from Tyler. But the thought is we have more surface space here to make, you know, better reactions.
Gotcha. Sounds great. I think we just want to get our bodies in positions to pass the ball with the biggest portions of our bodies. Like if you can get your forearms out and really give that hitter a big target to hit, let's do it.
Absolutely.
We'll go into our last question. Kala, you gave me something fantastic in the chat here. Would you mind unmuting yourself? All right, I'll read it for you. She wrote that as a person who loves making lists and finds motivations from to-do lists, do you find that long-term goals or little everyday things give you more inspiration?
Yeah, I think both are important. And again, the long-term goals, it's not a salvation. It's like a compass. It's like just make the goal as big as possible. Like I want to be an Olympian. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, that's fine. But the focus from there is the habits and tasks, and micro tasks that will help me align myself with that version of myself that could be an Olympian, right? If I want to say I'm an Olympian, but I stay home and watch Netflix and I'm on Instagram for 6 hours a day, you know, doesn't really correlate. But if I say I want to be Olympian, I just kind of leave it there. And throughout the day, it's like, I'm going to do the things that I know my Olympian version would do, or what will build me into an Olympian. I think that's most impactful. But I think we have to also set some sort of like huge goal where we're consciously being more intentional and more creative of how we work, because we realize that goal is so big that what I'm doing right now probably isn't enough to achieve it. And so we have to get more creative. And that can be anywhere from meditating once or twice a day, journaling, working with visualization, getting extra reps, reading about mindfulness, making sure what we're eating is, you know, we're cooking more than we're eating out, stuff like this. And so we're constantly being more creative. What else can I do to be that highest version of myself?
Awesome. I love that. The idea that you can create a list of things that you want to become. Like it's in the vein of something that you want to become. I noticed a lot of our athletes who have their cameras on kind of winced when they said, "Oh, am I saying that I want to be a Olympian or a high-level club athlete, but I'm watching Instagram for 6 hours a day or TikTok for 6 hours a day? Do they align?" Grace is laughing right now, but I think that's a great spot to end our call with the idea that go out there and kind of build a list that is attainable and actionable, and stick to it. Small little things on a daily basis will add up and give yourself an opportunity to see what you're capable of. I mean, we have a professional athlete, a USA team member who made that his calling and his passion, and it worked out for him. So with that, I want to just ask everyone to unmute themselves and give some love to Dustin. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.